Hello, I am Dr. Meeta Chakravorty, Department of English, Government VYT PG, Autonomous College, Durg, Chhattisgarh. Today we will discuss the novel A Passage to India by E M Forster. It's prescribed for the students of MA Semester 2, included in Paper 4 Fiction. To begin with, in the first half of the 20th century, English literature was going through various exotic experiences. It was an age of conflict, defiance, differences, negation, and dispute. The novel A Passage to India is one of the initial experiences for Western readers and writers. In this novel, the author has not only put his individual knowledge of Indian history but also picturized Western ideology about the East in a noticeable, subtle way. The novel undoubtedly shows the new global issues emerging in an era when imperialism was in its decline. The major issue was then the clash of utterly different cultural beliefs lying in opposite ends of the world. Hence, the culture of the East, the Oriental, the exotic, versus the culture of the West, the center of empire, the power. The clash between the two was not only socio-political as a part of history, but also as a new awakening of human psychology on a larger scale. It was an era when the established human civilizations were treated as uncivilized on one hand. On the other hand, there was a civilization assuming itself superior in race, culture, and wisdom. So, A Passage to India depicts the relation between the East and the West through a well built plot and strongly typical characters. A Passage to India was published in the year 1924, and before it, his four novels Where Angels Fear to Tread in 1905, The Longest Journey in 1907, A Room with a View in 1908, and Howard's End in 1910 were published. Edward Morgan Foster was born in the year 1879 in London on a New Year's Day. His father was an architect and died in 1880. He was under the guidance of his mother. He went to Tonbridge Public School as a day boy, and the unpleasant experiences he gained at school, like the discrimination made between the day scholars and the boarders, the reactionary social outlook of the school, although made him dejected, it provided him with his themes. Foster enjoyed a sense of liberation entering King's College, Cambridge University in 1897, as he could pursue his own interest in this congenial atmosphere. He studied classics and history, came into contact with the intellectual circles of the time, and his passion for writing got ignited, and he started writing for the undergraduate magazines. After his graduation, he left Cambridge University and traveled a lot in continental Europe. He visited he visited Egypt, Germany, and India. In the First World War, he volunteered for the International Red Cross in Alexandria, Egypt. In the early 1920s, he visited India for the second time and worked as a private secretary to the Tukoji Rao III, Maharaja of Divas. Till then, he had completed his major works except the greatest one, A Passage to India. Throughout his life, Forster was known as an English scholar, novelist, short story writer, and essayist. His works were full of modernism, realism, symbolism. Forster took the title A Passage to India from Walt Whitman's poem A Passage to India, which was published in 1870 collection of poems Leaves of Grass. Though Whitman's poem is equally important here as it shows the general assumption of the West about India, in contrast to this, Forster's novel A Passage to India stands as something real with its title. Apparently, the title is very simple, easy to understand, but if we ponder deeply, it is a journey of the mind and soul in search of new experiences and ventures to understand what really India is. When Forster has taken a plot completely set in India, he must have decided to give those words of Whitman his meaning, his own meaning. A Passage to India is divided in 3 parts. The first part is Mosque, chapter 1 to 11. The second part is Caves, chapter 12 to 32. And the third part is Temple, chapter 33 to 37. Before going through the plot, let's take an overview of the major characters. Dr. Aziz. Aziz is a young, talented Muslim working at the city hospital of Chandrapur as a physician. He is a widower. He is very sensitive about his religion and culture as well as his friends and his late wife. He has no interest in politics. Often he has to face the disrespectful treatment of the British officials. He is falsely accused by Adela of assaulting her and has to face a trial against him in a British court. In the second and third parts of the novel, when conflicts arise and hurt him a lot, he develops into a more practical and a serious character than before. Adela Quested. Adela Quested is a young British schoolmistress. She visits India with Mrs. Moore. She loves her freedom. She is brave and knows how to fight for her rights against any inhuman practices. But she has some delusion or lack of faith about strange experiences. Her delusion takes the shape of fear, and the fear makes her prejudiced. That's why she accuses Aziz of assaulting her and sues him in the court. However, she finally realizes her mistakes, but this makes the whole situation bitter and disturbing for everyone around her. Mrs. Moore. Mrs. Moore is a kind and thoughtful woman. She visits Chandrapur to arrange her son Ronnie's engagement with Adela. She respects all individuals equally. Till the end, she believes in Aziz's innocence. Her faith in the goodness of Indians is shaken only when she herself undergoes an experience similar to Adela's. Ronnie Hislaw. Ronnie is Mrs. Moore's son. He is the British city magistrate of Chandrapur. He is a man of quite a racist view. His sense of British superiority over Indian race gives his character a strong shade. He believes that Aziz must be guilty because a British woman has accused him. He dislikes even his own mother when she supports Aziz. He also breaks up with Adela for the same reason. Cyril Fielding. Fielding is an unmarried British headmaster at a government college. He is a man with a scientific and logical mind. He meets Aziz and the two become good friends very soon. Unfortunately, due to some personal misunderstandings, they were separated from each other. When Ronnie breaks off his engagement with Adela, Fielding takes care of Adela as a friend. Soon Adela leaves India and decides to never come back again. After some days, Fielding also leaves for England. Aziz thinks that Fielding has betrayed him. He cannot accept Fielding's friendship with Adela after so much conflict caused by her. Aziz even thinks that Fielding has gone to England to marry Adela. Professor Narayan Godbole. Godbole is the only character in the novel who never shares any conflict with anyone. He is a wise and peace-loving elderly Brahmin who sees the world as one reality and remains always calm. In the end, he also tries to develop the friendship between Aziz and Fielding. The story is of the simplest, indeed, there is scarcely any. Two English ladies, Mrs. Moore and Adela Quested, come to Chandrapur. It is their first experience of India and Indian people. Mrs. Moore is mother of Ronnie Hislop, the city magistrate, and Adela is supposed to marry Ronnie. Mrs. Moore accidentally meets Dr. Aziz in a mosque. Aziz is a Mohammedan doctor at Chandrapur. As a quick reaction, Dr. Aziz first dislikes her presence in his mosque, but Mrs. Moore's respectful manners towards India and its culture makes Aziz comfortably friendly with her. The two English ladies wish to know India and Indians, to see the real India. The city collector, Mr. Turton, throws a bridge party for Adela and Mrs. Moore so that they can see Indian people in a proper way. Here Adela meets Cyril Fielding, principal at a government college. Soon in a tea party hosted by Cyril Fielding and the Indian doctor, Aziz was also invited in this party. The two ladies and Dr. Aziz, they meet, and Aziz, who is always badly treated by his British seniors, is happy to see people like Fielding and befriends him in no time. He also becomes friendly with Adela Quested and invites the two ladies for a visit to the Malabar caves situated 20 miles away from the city. Ronnie arrives here and he is offended to find Adela with Aziz and Professor Godbole. Fielding and Godbole miss the train for Malabar. Adela and Mrs. Moore arrive at the caves with Aziz and a guide. Mrs. Moore finds the echo sound in the caves so disturbing and frightening that she returns back. Now Adela and Aziz with the guide continue their adventure. Adela asks Aziz about his married life, but Aziz avoids the question. After some time, Aziz doesn't find Adela in the caves anywhere. Soon he sees Adela downside the hill with another English lady, Miss Derrick, and he sees Adela going away with Miss Derrick in Miss Derrick's car. Fielding, who had come with Miss Derrick, stays there. Finally, when they reach the station, the conflict starts. When they reach Chandrapur, Aziz is arrested with an allegation that he molested Adela inside the caves. Aziz is shocked by Adela's accusation. There was a trial. Till the time the trial starts in the court, Adela has become confused about her allegation on Aziz. She finally realizes that she has mistakenly assumed that Aziz assaulted her. The case is dismissed and Aziz is set free. The last chapter, Temple, includes few chapters and it is in the city of Mao 2 years later in time. It is a Hindu city ruled by an Indian king. Professor Godbole is the Minister of Education in Mao, and Aziz works there as the Raja's chief physician. The city of Mao is celebrating the birth of Lord Krishna by dancing and singing in praise of God. Godbole informs Dr. Aziz that Fielding has come from England back with his young wife Stella, who is Mrs. Moore's daughter. Aziz starts believing in Fielding's goodness once again, but can't find it possible to befriend any English man or woman until the Britishers stop ruling in India. The tripartite structure of the novel, while contributing to the theme of the novel, reveals a symbolic pattern. Though the novel is quite in tone of realism, many descriptions are symbolic in their pattern. The three parts, mosque, caves, and temple, are used as the major symbols in his work. Mosque symbolizes the traditionally honored culture and strong religious beliefs of people as people usually identify themselves through them. The caves symbolizes the mystery hidden in nature. They make us feel our primitive stage of civilization. They also show the fear of human beings to experience the unknown. The temple symbolizes the faith in God's justice and compassion. The celebration in temple is the festival of life, seeking for freedom from the worldly conflicts. The landscape symbolizes the poetic beauty of nature, which is equal for all without any discrimination of class or race. In the three parts of the novel, three different weather, as the cold, the hot summer, and the rain, have been used to symbolize the moods and the thoughts rising in the characters. The characters themselves are typical. They symbolize the two different classes in British Raj, the colonizer and the colonized. Colonization and struggle for freedom are the two major themes in the novel, as they include all minor themes and motifs. The dissolution of the British Empire of India and the desire of the politically minded people to be independent of Britain's subjugation is one of the subjects of the novel. Colonization, as we have discussed earlier in the introduction, colonization is a grand reality which causes all kinds of conflicts and discriminations between two races. Imperialism had led to the estrangement between India and the empire. As we see in the beginning, Dr. Aziz remains aloof from all political issues, but he later realizes to be colonized is equal to slavery. No one wants to become a subject to a ruling power that doesn't give you equal rights as a citizen. Not only colonization, but gender discrimination in the whole patriarchal system is questionable, as it violates women's freedom to meet their own need with their own choices. Adela and Mrs. Moore seem to be fighters for women's rights in a new world. There are many motifs used in the novel that support these themes strongly. They are imperialism, Orientalism, racism, humanism, feminism. The novel overall is considered as one of the best fictions in modern English literature. It has been included in the 100 Great Works of the 20th Century English Literature by the Modern Library. Forster started writing this novel before World War I, but completed it after the war in his second visit in India. Obviously, he tried to make few changes in plot to give it a more humanistic touch. Now, from the examination point of view, the questions that are usually asked from the text are regarding the themes, symbols, and the major characters in A Passage to India, and that we have already discussed. There are few links. You can go to these links and get further reading materials from these links. The links are: first, A Passage to India by E M Forster, summary, learn English through story, educational and entertainment stuff. Second, E M Forster, A Passage to India, EPG Pathshala, Vidya Mitra. Thank you.